Hi everyone! Thank you for watching the StructPro video tutorial. In today's lesson, we will demonstrate the CalcPro tool in StructPro. CalcPro tool is an important core function of StructPro which enables engineers to automate their engineering calculation. The tool helps engineers to expedite their work, save time, and perform parametric analysis for optimization. In CalcPro tool, we offer numerous functions that enable engineers to automate calculations easily and effectively. In this tutorial, we will demonstrate the CalcPro tool through several examples. In the first example, we will show you how to automate calculations using the worksheet calculation commands. In this example, we will automate the calculation of a simple mathematical function. As shown on the slide, fxy is a function that includes two variables, x and y. Creating a spreadsheet to calculate this function fxy in Excel is straightforward, so we will not cover the process in this video. The completed spreadsheet is presented in the slide. With the given input values of x and y, we obtain the output value for fxy as shown. Now, let's say we have a list of input values for x and y. We would like to automate the spreadsheet calculation to obtain the output values of fxy, corresponding to the inputs. Let us show you how to set up this automated calculation with StructPro. First, open the spreadsheet and begin by assigning variable names for the variables x and y. To assign a variable name in Excel, first, select the cell you want to assign the variable name to. Then, enter the desired name into the text box located at the top left corner near the formula bar. Please repeat the process to assign names for all variables x and y, as well as for the function fxy. Once you've completed assigning names to the variables, create a new sheet to contain the data table for the calculation. First, initiate the setup process for automation by clicking the CalcWS button from the StructPro menu to open the Spreadsheet Calculation command panel. Next, click the Assign Variables button to open the Set Variables window. You'll notice that the variable names you assigned in the previous steps are displayed in the variable list. Now, begin inserting the variable names into this data table by selecting the desired variable names, selecting a location in the spreadsheet where you want to insert them, and then clicking either Assign Input or Assign Output to insert the input and output variables into the data table respectively. Please note that all variable names need to be in the same row of this data table. The output name is differentiated from the input name by having an identifier symbol at the start of the name. Next, click on Assign Calc to open the Assign WS Calc window to define the index names range for the calculation. Once the window is open, drag the cursor to select the first row of input and output variable names. Note that after you select the index row, the index range text box should be updated accordingly. Once the selection is finished, click the OK button to complete the step. That's it. With just a few simple steps, you've completed the setup for calculation automation. Now, let's try the calculation by providing data input for the input variables x and y. Once the input data is ready, select all the rows where you want to perform automated calculations. Then click the Run Calc button. The automated calculations will be processed, with the variables in each row being transferred to the assigned spreadsheets, and the outputs will be returned to this data table automatically. If you want to clear the calculation, just click the Clear Calc button. All of the output data will be cleared. Besides the automated calculation, StructPro also allows you to sync the input from the spreadsheet back to the data table. To do so, simply go to the spreadsheet and make changes to the input variables. After that, go back to the data table. Select the row that you want to sync the data with, then click the Sync Data button. All the current input and output data from the spreadsheet will be synced to the assigned row. Besides automating calculations, StructPro also allows you to export the report. To export the calculation report, you first need to define the content to be included in the report. To define the report content, click the Assign Export button to open the Report Export window. Next, click the drop-down button in each row, then select the spreadsheet that you want to include in the report. You can add as many spreadsheets as you want. To arrange the order of the spreadsheets, you can right-click and use the Move Up or Move Down button. You can also remove a spreadsheet by clicking the Delete Row button. Once the report content definition is completed, select the row data that you want to export from the data table, then click the Export PDF button. Next, wait for the Save As window to pop up. Then insert the location where you want to save the report and click the OK button to complete the report exporting process. Finally, go to the assigned location and check if the report has been exported properly. This concludes the first example. Next, let's move to the second example. In this example, we will show you how to automate calculations using the workbook calculation commands. Just to recall, in the first example, please note that when using the worksheet calculation function, the calculation spreadsheet needs to be saved in the same workbook as the data table. In this second example, we will demonstrate how to perform automated calculations using a data table when the calculation spreadsheets are not in the same workbook. To do so, in StructPro, we created the workbook calculation function, which allows users to save their calculation spreadsheets into the software's library and use them as templates for calculations. Now, let us show you how it works. First, open the Excel workbook containing your calculations. Then, save the workbook as a separate file and close the workbook. Next, click the Library button from the StructPro menu to open the software's library. After the library window opens, right-click in the library window and choose to create a new folder for your calculations. Then, copy or cut the workbook file you just saved and paste it into your calculation folder in the software library. The calculation template is now defined. Next, Let's start the calculation by creating a new Excel file. Unlike worksheet calculations, starting the workbook calculation requires an additional step. Click the Data ID button to open the Data ID panel, then select the first two index names in the list, case and type, and click the Index button to insert these index names into the data table. Please note that the name case can be replaced by any of the other index names in the table, but we will use the name case for this example. Next, click the Library button to go back to the Library panel. The next step is to define the input and output for this calculation. To do this, click the View R button and select the spreadsheet template to view all variable names contained in the spreadsheet template. Now, begin inserting the variable names into this data table by selecting the desired variable names in the list, choosing a location in the spreadsheet where you want to insert them, and then clicking either Input or Output to insert the input and output variables into the data table respectively. Next, click on the Calc WB to open the Workbook Calculation panel, then assign Calc to open the Assign WB Calc window to define the index names range for the calculation. Once the window is open, drag the cursor to select the first row of input and output variable names. Now, let's try the calculation by providing data input for the input variables x and y. For the workbook calculation, you need to provide additional data for the case and type columns of the data table. The data for the case column can be anything you want. Just ensure that the case names are not duplicated. To fill in data for the type column, click the Library button to return to the software library, select the spreadsheet template file, then click the Assign button to assign the calculation template for each row of the data table. Once the input data is ready, go back to the Workbook Calculation panel and select all the rows where you want to perform automated calculations. Then click the Run Calc button. The automated calculations will be processed, with the variables in each row being transferred to the assigned spreadsheets, and the outputs will be returned to this data table automatically. Please note that for this workbook calculation, temporary files need to be created in a temporary folder during the calculation process. To view the temporary folder, click the Calc Path button. This temporary folder is usually assigned by default. But you can also change the temporary folder if you want. To do so, click the Update button, select the folder you want to change, then click the Open button to update. Now rerun the calculation, and you will see that the new temporary calculation files are saved to the new temporary folder. Each temporary file represents the calculation of one row in the data table. For the workbook calculation, you can also export the report. To export the calculation report, you first need to define the content to be included in the report. To do so, open the calculation template file from the library. And click the Calc WS button to open the worksheet calculation. Once the worksheet calculation panel is open, switch from single to multiple calculation and click Assign Sheets to open the calculation list window. Next, click the drop-down button in each row, then select the spreadsheet that you want to include in the report. Additionally, we need to go to each sheet that you want to export. Click the Assign Export button, and then select the Include the Current Sheet when Exporting option. Next, save and close the calculation template file, then return to the Data Table Workbook. Once the report content definition is completed, select the row data that you want to export from the data table. Click Run Calc to update the calculation using new template file, then click the Export PDF button to start the report export. By default, multiple PDF files associated will be exported to the temporary folder. To export a single combined report, click Options from the StructPro menu. Once the option window is open, check the Combined PDF Exports box in the Options menu. Next, wait for the Save As window to pop up. Then insert the location where you want to save the report and click the OK button to complete the report exporting process. Then, go to the assigned location and check if the report has been exported properly. Finally, to view detailed calculation for each row in the data table, you can select the row and click the Open Calc button to open the corresponding spreadsheet calculation for that row's data. This concludes today's tutorial. Please like, share and subscribe this channel to watch more video tutorials of our software in the future. Thank you for watching.